Hello, everybody. We are back here at Michigan Storm Chasers with a briefing. It's been a hot minute. For those who may have forgotten our names at this point, I am Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma, and below me is our President of Operations, Ryan, and we are the Michigan Storm Chasers. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about pretty much the first taste of winter here in early November. A little bit on task tonight. We are going to talk about some of the shifts in the ensembles, go over some probabilities for certain snow totals, go over the projected radar that's expected to happen or might happen over the next 72 hours, and perhaps talk a little bit about the wind chills and maybe some aurora data at the end. So again, the first and foremost, make sure you're hitting that like button. Let us know if you guys can hear us pretty well, and we'll go ahead and get started here in just a second. We're going to go ahead and shout out the super chat we can see in chat here real quick from Carrie, becoming a member for 8 months, excuse me, level zero member, saying, love this channel, thanks for the weather updates, no problem, Carrie. Got some thumbs up in chat there from Red and Renee. Julie, our mod in chat tonight, some of our other mods in here as well. Appreciate you for tuning in. Sweet, a lot of thumbs up, so we'll go ahead and get started. So the story this morning, of course, was it was a pretty rainy one out there. A lot of rain that fell primarily across northern Michigan. That was this deep low pressure you can see on the center of your screen there. This is off the Euro run. And again, this occurred this morning, overnight, last night. A couple rumbles of thunder mixed in, but overall it was just a rain and wind threat. A couple of isolated power outages that occurred from this low pressure system today. Now, again, this is a contour of different low pressures. You can see here, if we flip it over to the contours map, you can see all the different ensembles or all the different runs put together into this general centralized location. So we can use these members here to figure out where exactly the low pressure system might move for the system that's coming through on Saturday into Sunday. So we'll go ahead and switch it back to the more colorful map here. This is going to be starting Saturday morning, so this is 7 a.m. tomorrow. We fast forward it here through the afternoon hours, 4 p.m. Then we get into the nighttime hours here. You can see the low pressure starting to develop down there in Illinois, where it says the L. I'll go ahead and zoom in for you guys there, just to give you guys an idea of where it's at. So central Illinois. And as we move into the overnight hours, Saturday into Sunday, this is going to be around midnight, is right when that precipitation will start to move in and the low starts to deepen and picks up some of that moisture and allows rain to form. Again, this whole entire profile, and in fact, I might show some soundings here in a little bit. The entire profile of this low pressure system is completely saturated, which means there's going to be a lot of moisture in the system. And we would not be surprised if it was an overachiever, but again, right now, the primary factor going into this event, of course, being early November, is our ground temperatures being in the 40s still. That being said, of course, we did have some lake effect snow up in the UP this week where ground temperatures were in the mid 40s and it was sticking. So 40s be darned, I guess you could say. We could see some snow stick on some of those colder surfaces. But going back to our models here, the Euro has that low pressure system moving up towards the Toledo area, which would bring that snowfall and some of that mixed rain and snow a little bit further north. This would mean places along the Ohio and Michigan border there could see more rain instead of snow, a lot more warm air advection getting filtered in to the south side of the system. One thing to note, though, is the wind speed. Again, if you get faster winds, that means more warm air will be pulled north. If it's not as fast, of course, then that warmer air will stay south. And in fact, Ryan, those past 24 hours have been interesting in terms of how much more colder air is actually starting to filter into the system as well. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I was going to touch on that briefly. We see a lot of wild model runs that get shared across social media. And maybe some of you guys may have saw them. We had a couple of models saying a foot of snow across southern Michigan. And a lot of people started hyping it and just started freaking out. But we always like to wait here at MSC until the system comes onto shore and we can sample it with hard data. As soon as the system hit land sometime right around midnight last night, the data shifted quite significantly. And we're still kind of seeing it kind of bounce back and forth. And as Joel just mentioned, the track is shifting, which it has some implications here, which I'm sure Joel will go over here later on. But as they move closer, data becomes a little bit more accurate and gives us a better idea of what to expect here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that shift had it further south. Now it's further north. and then it was going back south again. So it's been doing this wobbling thing over the last couple of runs here. So if we go back, actually go back to the 6Z run from earlier today. And this actually had the snow, most of the snow down by the border. Go to the 12Z run, moves it back a little bit further to the north, 18Z run, and it's wobbling back to the south again. So it's very interesting to talk about a system that has a lot of moisture being super confined to the center of the low pressure system. Again, if we can get more moisture to spread out, the winds kind of take it away from the center of the low, then we'll see some of that snowfall, those snowfall totals eke further north into portions of central Michigan, so that US 10 corridor from Ludington over down to Midland, Bay City, Saginaw, even into the Thumb. But as it stands right now, it does appear that as of our last model runs, this low pressure system is going to stay confined to the Toledo region with kind of a squished together section of precipitation here. That would mean most snow for this event would be filtering in from about I-96 down through the state line. If you saw our snowfall total map earlier today on our Facebook page, you'll note that the key factor, or the key zone for snowfall, the heaviest of the snowfall, was going to be between 94 and 96. And given these latest model runs, it may shift a little bit further south depending on how much warm air advection can be lifted in based on what models we're seeing here. So again, this is the Euro run. This is one of our long range runs. Now if we switch it over to the NAM, which is one of our shorter range, so one of our medium range runs here, this is going to be moving in, according to the NAM, around 1 a.m. again. So it's kind of, the timing has kind of been locked in for a couple runs now, where it has it moving in around midnight for southwest Michigan. It'll start as rain, being that it will be warmer in the day on Saturday, and then all of a sudden you see that change over to snow as you get into the overnight hours. And that snow is a lot more potent in nature on the short range models, because we're starting to see stronger winds and some of that moisture shield start to expand. That deformation zone is what we call it in meteorology, start to expand more across portions of south central Michigan, so up towards the Thumb and central Michigan. So this could be a decent snowfall event if we can get more of that colder air to filter in. What I mean by that is, here on a sounding, which is very confusing, but bear with us here, you can see down here at the surface, these are what are called wind barbs. And those wind barbs are pointing straight down, meaning a due north wind for the bottom 1 mile of the atmosphere. So that is a very brisk wind from Canada getting shot straight down towards the surface here at speeds of about 20 to 30 miles per hour. And as you can see on the left, those red and green lines close together means that the entire atmosphere is completely saturated, and the temperatures are always going to be below 32 degrees, except for at the surface where it's right at 32 and 33. And as we mentioned, with those temperatures at the surface being warmer than freezing, we have to watch out for the snow to fall and then melt right away. But as Ryan and I and everyone behind the scenes have been watching the last couple runs, we're starting to see more of a cold air return come in based on now that we're able to sample this system as it's coming in on land via weather balloon data. So it's very interesting to watch these models, or have watched these models change over the last couple of days. Now that we're into the medium range, the 72 hours, 48 hours before, we're starting to lock down on how much cold air may be moving in. So as the system does move through, this is going to be around the mid-afternoon hours on Sunday. 18Z is going to be just about 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we move towards 4 and 7 o'clock, and our system's pretty much done by time sunset arrives Sunday evening. Now, not for everyone, though. We'll still see some lingering effects over there in the Thumb, and of course, that north wind will kick in pretty much for everywhere as we move from Sunday into Monday. And that brings us to the next segment here. Obviously, we have the system snow moving through, which is kind of a ease into winter. But as we move into Monday, as I mentioned here, lake effect snow will ramp up very significantly for portions of Lake Michigan. And as you can see there, there's a nice, decent band that extends from Lake Superior, central Lake Superior, through the central UP, and down across Lake Michigan. Now, for those who have lived here in Michigan for a while, you'll note that a north wind means that this snow is not likely to move in towards land as much as, say, a west wind would do. And because of that, a lot of this snow is going to fall really confined to the lakeshore communities within 10 miles of the lakeshore itself. And of course, down at the very bottom end of the lake, you could see some snowfall totals that could be pretty high for a first lake effect event down there in, say, Berrien County and portions of northwest Indiana. So as we loop it through here, this is going to be Monday morning into the afternoon hours. That band just kind of stays there. And this is the end of our our medium range run. As this goes into Tuesday morning here, you can see that wind does start to shift from north to out of the northwest as we move into Tuesday morning. And that means some of that snow will go from on the lake to toward portions of the 131 corridor in West Michigan. And of course, in the Upper Peninsula, that snow will shift from like the Marquette area over to more of the Munising area, closer to Nobbin Way, for an example there. As we move into Tuesday, it's not listed on here for our model runs because it's still on the long range. Those winds will pretty much be out of the northwest, almost due west. And so we could see a couple, maybe like an inch or two of accumulation, primarily up towards Gaylord on Tuesday. But again, at the current time, it's still too far out to make a snowfall total map for that. We will have snowfall total maps for this lake effect coming out starting probably tomorrow afternoon. And if not tomorrow afternoon, first thing Sunday morning. So keep an eye on that. Speaking of snowfall maps, we'll go ahead and before we go into the one we have on Facebook for this clipper, we'll go ahead and talk about the probabilities listed by the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center. So we'll go ahead and start with the extremes here. We'll go up to half a foot of snow because at this point it is not likely many locations at all will get a half a foot of snow. So if you're sitting at home right now and thinking, wow, I really wish I could get a big, nice snowfall total for the first system, the chances right now are more likely that you won't. But again, a lot of cold air starting to circle in. We'll have more updates coming throughout the day tomorrow as the system moves closer to Michigan. As you can see right now, this is the chance of a half a foot of snow. The probabilities of half a foot of snow between now, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. And as you can see, as the system moves through, there's really no indications of more than 6 inches being possible. There's a little bit of brown down there in the southwest corner, which those odds are 1 to 5%. So again, very, very low chance you'll get more than 6. As we move into Monday and Tuesday, when the lake effect snow starts to kick in, then we do have to watch, as I mentioned, that one big band of lake effect snow going down Lake Michigan, of course up there in Lake Superior as well, for the chance for significant lake effect snow pileup. That would include portions of Berrien, maybe Van Buren, and Cass counties. And of course, if you're traveling from Chicago to Benton Harbor into that stretch there, that would impact the I-90, I-80 region, or I-94, I-80 region down there near South Bend. So keep that in mind. If you are traveling starting early next week, Monday to Tuesday, lake effect snow will be probably on the docket for southwest Michigan. But again, nothing greater than 6 inches other than perhaps that southwest corner. We start to take it down towards greater than 4 inches. We start to see more coloring show up. But again, a lot of those probabilities are underneath 20%, as you can see here in the lime green. In the darker green, totals closer to 30 and 40%. We really have to get down to 2 inches or greater to really start to see odds that are better than 50% here. And that is for both systems, so the Clipper and the lake effect snow moving in on Monday and Tuesday. So here's your Clipper that's moving through southeast, southwest Michigan and south central Michigan. Greatest chance for over 2 inches of snow would be kind of along that I-94 corridor from Battle Creek, Kalamazoo over towards Detroit. And as we move in towards, actually that's a better indication there. As we move in towards the end of the system, lake effect starts to pick up on the backside. And there is your totals greater than 2, or your probability is greater than 2 inches for the lake effect zone. So at this point, it does appear that the main factor here, or the main total here for this Clipper that's coming through Saturday into Sunday will be 1 to 3 inches, quickly melting in some surfaces. And as we get into the lake effect on Monday and Tuesday, primarily for the Lake Michigan shoreline, cannot rule out places downstream from Lake Huron, of course, as well, over there in the thumb, again with a north wind that can shift a little bit over into places like Sarnia, Ontario, Port Huron, Harbor Beach, you name it, all up and down the thumb. Some totals, lake effect totals, could be in the ballpark of maybe 2 to 4 inches, and maybe even higher for that southwest corner down there near South Bend and Benton Harbor, as you can see given the snow totals here, or the snow probabilities here. But again, for those who missed our post on Facebook, Instagram, X earlier today, these are our official snowfall totals across the state for our first event from Saturday night into Sunday afternoon. You notice at the current time, as we mentioned, it's a little bit further north. We may shift it south given our latest updates. But as it stands right now, this is a good indication of what to expect for your day on primarily Sunday, when the most of the snow is expected to fall, or overnight into Sunday morning. 1 to 3 inches, primarily all across the I-96, I-94 region. That expands from Allegan County all the way over to Flint and Lapeer. You go further north, and this will likely be updated tomorrow for sure to increase some totals up there near Marquette, Grand Marais, Munising, Michigan. 1 to 3 to 2 to 4 inches up there in the lake effect zone. And the Keweenaw Peninsula is also expected to get a little bit more snow as well. So that will likely be bumped up from 1 to 3 to 2 to 4 as well. But as it stands right now, this is a good starting point for our first call. And as always, if you haven't followed us on social media yet, you can check out us at the tag MI Storm Chasers, or if you just type in Michigan Storm Chasers, we are on every single social media platform that you could probably think of. So keep that in mind. Other than that, we do have to talk about the cold, because that is a factor coming in with this brutal north wind that's coming in for Monday morning and Tuesday morning. We'll go ahead and actually take a look at the NAM, as this goes out through the end of the day Monday. Here is your temperatures, so your normal temperatures. These are the temperatures that our bodies actually don't react to, but these are the air temperatures that we always put in our graphics every single day of the week. So moving into Sunday, this is where our cold air really starts to take over. You can see all the areas in blue is freezing or below, so 32 degrees down to 31, 30, and even into the 20s. And as we move in towards the end of the day Sunday, it starts to warm up back into the 30s. And of course, once we move into Monday, that is when our cold air moves in. Air temperatures to start out the day on Monday will be in perhaps the mid-20s all across the state. And in fact, could get into the teens for your air temperatures by around 7 a.m. Monday morning. Then it really doesn't warm up on Monday. And as we get into Tuesday, those temperatures stay cold overnight into the low 20s again. But again, we have to look at the apparent temperatures here, which are going to be, I believe, over here on this map. Double check. NAM, yeah, there we go. Apparent temperatures for the Great Lakes, which are your feels-like temperatures, or the wind chills as they're formerly known. Here you go for Sunday. Once again, low 20s, some teens up there in the UP. This is through Sunday morning, 7 a.m. You can see it get down to close to 10 degrees up there along the Wisconsin-Michigan border, where there is not as much impact from the warmth of the lakes. Meanwhile, across the lower peninsula, low to mid-20s for wind chills. And we move into Monday. This is where it really starts to get cold. Got temperatures out there. Feels like temperatures down to 10 degrees in some spots. 10 to 15, especially as you get up towards the northern portion of the lower peninsula. And into the UP, temperatures in the teens there as well. And then into Tuesday morning, we're going to have to go and switch back over to the Euro. That is a little too far out. Temperatures will once again be in the low 20s to high teens. And again, we do have a wind chill graphic coming out here at 8 o'clock on our Facebook page to kind of show you guys this data that we're seeing. In fact, some of our other models do have temperatures as low as 7, maybe 8 or 9 degrees for portions of northern and central Michigan in the lower peninsula. So you'll see that here at 8 o'clock of a forecast graphic that put together all these different model runs. Again, we have 50 to choose from, and I'm just showing you 1 or 2 of them right now. We would be here all night if we had to go through all of them, of course. But yeah, you guys will see that here at 8 o'clock. And those are your wind chills to expect for Monday and Tuesday. Again, teens, if you're just joining us, teens for sure. Maybe some low 20s if you're in some of the warmer spots. And we cannot rule out a couple of wind chills that are going to be close to 9 degrees, 8 degrees, and 7 degrees for northern and central lower Michigan. Other than that, Ryan, is there anything else I've missed so far in this 20 minutes of talking that I've done? You're muted.
Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. I do want to mention as well, there is a winter weather advisory in effect for the top tier of counties in the UP. That is for ongoing snow tonight into the day on Saturday and into Sunday. The NWS is calling for snow totals anywhere between 1 to 4 inches. So just generalized, kind of what we showed you guys earlier with our map, between snow showers in some areas up towards 4 inches in others. So that's what the advisory is for on your screen. That is for the UP currently. It is possible we could get advisories later on further south, depending on how our confidence shakes out. But overall, the what's on your screen currently is for further south. Also, I do have the potential for lake effect map pulled up on my end if you want to take my screen, if anybody wants to look at that. If, as Joel mentioned, behind the system that's coming in Saturday night into Sunday morning, we do have lake effect snow, and these are typical lake effect belts here. So the areas in blue could get snow showers, perhaps a couple inch or two quickly. And then the yellow areas, they're more prone to lake effect snow. With this particular event, though, the red and the pink zone, that's our high potential for lake effect snow. This is mainly because the wind orients those bands more northerly to south. So it's not going to come for far inland. It's going to stick pretty close to lakeshore areas. So that's why the red zone is really close to Lake Michigan there. But also why up by Grand Marais or to Marquette area, there's a red and a pink zone. That's because that area is likely going to get, I don't want to say a pretty good chunk of accumulation, but they're in a good position if everything comes together. They're going to get several inches of lake effect snow by the time we get through Tuesday. So this is for round two. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. We have a lot to track here, a lot of shifting going on, and there's a lot of data to process. Even here in another hour, we're going to be looking at new data that comes out with the latest model runs. So we'll have updates for you guys throughout tomorrow, and probably another briefing tomorrow at 7 p.m. to talk about updates to the system that's probably going to start pretty much at 7 p.m. tomorrow, but also probably our first call outlook with lake effect snow as well. And there is your winter weather advisory on Joel's screen there. Anything in purple, that is an advisory, and it's varying between 1, 4, and they do mention higher totals are possible in localized areas where those bands can set up and stay sustained. So yeah, it's a lot going on, and it's our first winter system that we're going to track here. So it has begun.
Indeed, it has. Yeah, one of the winter weather advisories here, including the cities of Ontonagon and Ironwood. So this would be Gogebic and Ontonagon counties. Total snow accumulations 2 to 6 inches, with local higher amounts of 8 inches are possible in persistent lake effect bands. So they're going high wording on this for portions of the Upper Peninsula, primarily, as I mentioned, in the western UP here in our 1 to 3 zone. So as I mentioned, we are likely going to upgrade that here for the Keweenaw Peninsula and the Porcupine Mountains as we move into our next map tomorrow. It'll be our final call map for this event. And of course, add on to that when we release our lake effect snow map as well. So we'll kind of have 2 maps actually back to back for tomorrow. It'll be released tomorrow morning, most likely, for the Clipper. And then we'll have a map that does include the lake effect snow on the back side of it as well for that Sunday night through Tuesday morning time frame. Also over here on YouTube, real quick, shout out to Red Dozier for the $20 super chat saying thanks Joel and hello everyone else. And Not Summer with the $4.99 super chat saying all complaints regarding incoming systems, please forward complaints to Joel, which is me. Thank you, Not Summer, for that super chat. I guess you can send your complaints to me. I'm not much of the winter guy, but I do love all the seasons, so I will take snow when it is cold enough to do so. So I'll love it for now. And if you don't want the snow, I guess I'll take them. But yeah.
Also, we can mention it's already snowing in Michigan as we speak. It was snowing harder, but over on the camera up in Berkland, which is up in the western part of the UP, there is some pretty hefty snow showers about 10 minutes ago. But now you can see it's kind of slowed down here. Now it's just flurrying, so to speak. That's a word. But you can actually see some, if you look in the grass, it kind of looks a little wet and a little slushy there. It looks like it's melted. So the ground temperatures are still quite warm in nature. So it won't stay that way for long, though, because as we cool off, we'll stay cold and the ground temperatures will also plummet with those air temperatures coming down below freezing.
Yeah, I will say this Sunday through Tuesday time frame will really cool off those soil temperatures. Again, right now, we saw this over the last 24 to 48 hours. The soil temperatures already have been dropping out there. They went from the mid to upper 40s down to the low 40s for pretty much everywhere in the state of Michigan. And some places are already starting to drop into the high 30s. So it won't be long until we get the snow able to stick. But for right now, given that it is November 7th and we haven't really had that big cold snap yet, besides the one that's coming up, it will be pretty hard to get significant accumulation besides the places that are going to see persistent lake effect snow over the exact same area for perhaps up to 48 hours up there in the UP and perhaps down there in the southwest corner of lower Michigan. Red Dozier, another $20 super chat over here on YouTube, youtube.com youtube.com. Our username is at MIStormchasers, saying, "Oh noes, I see that I'm in the 1 to 3 zone. Anyway, you can adjust that map." You'll see some adjustments for sure as we refine our totals for tomorrow. And again, with this shifting perhaps a little bit further south, closer to the state line, that may not include Allegan County. But again, as a reminder, we do have the lake effect snow map coming here tomorrow morning as well for that secondary period of Sunday afternoon through Tuesday. And so you might be in the 1 to 3 zone now, maybe get shifted out for the system, but then all of a sudden our next map comes out for lake effect through Tuesday, and then you're back in it for maybe 1 to 3, 1 to 4 inches of snow. So we'll do our best. Obviously, we can't promise anything, and the weather always has the number one say, and so totals will be refined based on what the model runs continue to show us over the next 12 to 24 hours.
Joel, I have a question behind the scenes from somebody internally asking if we're going to do traffic forecast and traffic maps this year.
That is the plan. So for those who are new here, again, over on Facebook, at this time last winter, I think we only had maybe 200,000 followers. So we've picked up a lot of you guys since last year, and some of you guys don't know all the things that we do during winter, and that does include some traffic arrows, traffic maps, traffic forecast, you name it, and that will be happening again this year. In fact, at 9:30 is what time I plan on getting maybe a traffic map out for just the entire snow period over the next couple of days. They'll do it day by day, but you guys will see it. In the past, they've also been traffic arrows, so each segment of time has a color designated to it based on how we project the roads, the traveling to be. So, for example, let's say you are in southern Michigan and this clipper is going to put down 3 to 6 inches. We're not saying it's gonna, but if that 3 to 6 inches is likely going to happen between 5 p.m. in the afternoon and midnight, then we would likely put a coloring of maybe red, yellow, or red across southern Michigan for poor travel as an example there. So just an example, but that is what we do here at Michigan Storm Chasers, and we are excited to bring them back for you guys to help in when you guys are going to do, or when you're traveling this year for work, other things, you name it. And again, you'll see those on our social media pages, over on Facebook, over on X, over on Instagram. Again, our username on all those is MI Storm Chasers. Of course, speaking of traffic, we do have our community page on Facebook. So our main page is Michigan Storm Chasers. We do host a community page on Facebook. You guys can go search this up right now. It's called Michigan Traffic and Accident Reports. I believe I said that right, Ryan. That is a community group you can join. Just make sure that you answer those entry questions so we know that you're not a bot when you join. And we'll go ahead and accept you in there. And you guys can use that group to talk to your fellow Michiganders on how the road conditions are. We see this all the time in community groups as it gets colder outside. How are the roads? It's a very popular question we see on social media. How are the roads? How are the roads? Well, we made this community group for you guys so you guys can answer or ask questions like that as long as you know they're specific when to your area. So if you're in Southeast Michigan, you can say, how are the roads out there currently in, Southfield or Riverview, you name it. Just put your specific information in there. And again, it's there for you guys to use if you want it.
See a question here about the aurora tonight, Joel. I know we're going to talk about that briefly here. So right now, everything is looking mediocre. We have several solar storms en route to Earth between now and 3-4 days out. And we have a sunspot region that is pointing right at us here over the next 5 to 10 days that has been launching solar flares that contain solar storms with them, or CMEs for short. Chances are high over the next 10 days, but for tonight specifically, data is mediocre. It's not looking great, but if we can see one of those solar storms arrive, it may kick things back up a little bit. As it stands, though, on our webcams, I'm looking at our ones up in the UP. There is no aurora that I can see at the current time up in the Dickinson County, Norway ski resort. Their camera there's nothing on that I see. So right now, all is quiet. And if that changes, we'll let you guys know. But for right now, it looks mediocre at best. But we'll have to kind of wait and see if we have anything that can kind of spark some additional enhancement of the conditions.
Also, another announcement going back to the traffic things that we're talking about. We did have our first traffic camera installed today in the Grand Rapids area over at Frontier Truck Parts, I believe it's the name of the business, right?
Yep, I actually got it pulled up if you want to. Actually, do I? Yeah, I do have it pulled up if you want to
Okay,
take it.
sweet. So that is
So
131
anyway,
right there. You can go ahead and talk about it if you want.
so we have two great cameras here. We have one facing to the south, southwest, and we have this one which is facing 360 degrees. So obviously the lights are going to obstruct the view here. I also have messed with the settings to get this perfect. But this camera is going to give us great opportunities to look at the conditions on 131 here, up and down here in the Moline area. So this is going to be really handy here come winter time to get an idea of what the conditions are like on US 131 south of Grand Rapids. So thank you to Frontier Truck Parts for sponsoring this location and for sponsoring the cameras. We appreciate them for joining our network. This is going to be heavily used this winter. I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm. And again, if you're here listening and you have a business or a residency maybe along one of the major interstates in the state of Michigan, again, we're always looking for more sponsors that would like to sponsor weather cameras. So, again, if that's you, if you want to become a sponsor and host a camera, let us know. You can email Ryan or send the page a message, and we'd love to get in touch. And that was camera 78 and 79 installed today in our weather camera network. So we're getting pretty close to that milestone of 100 weather cameras in the state of Michigan. You're muted again, Ryan.
I was informed that camera 80 and 81 just a bit ago are almost up and running.
Sweet.
So we'll have some more cameras to announce soon.
It's awesome. Fun times with a $20 super chat over here on YouTube saying, can't believe Christmas music is already on the radio. As always, thank you, Joel, Ryan, and the mods for all you do. Happy Friday. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you very much, Fun Times, for that nice compliment. Hope you have a great weekend as well. And again, for those who have plans this weekend, make sure you are driving safe out there. Good time now, of course, if you haven't already, to get those tires changed. If you have some really bald tires, make sure you're stocking your vehicles with a bunch of equipment as well. So blankets, first aid kits, gloves, hats, a bunch of just supplies that you'll need to stay warm in the case you break down during the winter months that are cold and snowy. You just don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're without materials in the worst case scenario. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure your vehicle's all prepped and ready for the year. And of course, with this first snow, Ryan, it may not look like much here. Again, 1 to 3 inches is kind of that going range, but we see a lot of accidents with the first snow, despite the fact that it might not be a lot. If you want to elaborate on that, feel free to go ahead.
This is kind of a pet peeve of mine. I don't know if it's valid or not, but I think it is. I think a lot of people just get caught up on the totals.
Yeah.
8 inches of snow. Oh, yeah, we got to take it easy. Versus 2 inches of snow. Oh, it's no big deal. It's slippery nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
8 inches, 2 inches, it's going to be slick out there. So take it easy. 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, or 2 feet. It's going to be the same conditions for the most part. Obviously, it's worse when there's more snow, sure. But people use more caution when there's more snow and not enough caution when there's less snow.
Yep.
So more accidents. We always see. Last year was a prime example. We had a quick dusting, and all of a sudden we have 25 accidents on 94 between Battle Creek and Kalamazoo. Whereas we have a foot of snow on the ground or falling, and there's like one accident. So take it easy, guys. That's all we're asking. And also just throw it out there as well. We saw way too many accidents last year, which involved emergency management and tow operators or people of the like. So slow it down. It's not worth risking your life or those around you. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead if you had something to say.
No, I was gonna ask anybody had any questions. We're free for a few minutes here to answer those. We'll be back on here tomorrow night at 7:00 to discuss updated details. Also, taking a first look into the lake effect event for Sunday into Tuesday as well. So We'll have new information out for you guys tomorrow morning as well with new forecast, but also that briefing to kind of give you guys the daily rundown, so to speak. And you can expect us again 7 p.m. tomorrow for that.
So here is I'll go over the snowfall, the kind of the projected reflectivity, so what may happen over the next 72 hours here in terms of snow. Right now, this is the Euro run, the latest Euro run that came in as of this afternoon. As you can see here, this is 18Z, or about 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. That low pressure system moves across Missouri, Iowa, Illinois throughout the day on Saturday tomorrow. And it really starts to pick up its cold air overnight as those temperatures drop, and that rain changes over to snow. And so, in fact, if the system does slow down, Ryan, we really might not see a changeover from rain to snow. It might just already be snow when it arrives. And some of our short-range modules have tried to hint at that as of late. But again, as you get from the daylight hours and the nighttime hours, again, a lot less sunlight out there this year. The sun angle right now is a lot poorer than it is during the summer. It's not directly overhead. And so it's a lot harder to get that solar radiation down to the surface to keep those warm temperatures kind of at ongoing. So transition over to snow would be around that midnight time frame, maybe as early as 10 o'clock Saturday night. And then we move into Sunday morning. It's going to be 7 a.m. and noon and 1 p.m. And then by 4 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon, a lot of that snow is going to be already moving off into Ontario. And as you can see, that north wind takes over, and you just got a boatload of lake effect snow rushing down Lake Michigan across the Upper Peninsula, with some significant totals possible around Marquette and down there in southeast Michigan before the wind changes over to out of the northwest on Tuesday, and our lake effect snow starts to dwindle then as well. So we'll be watching those locations for lake effect snow from Monday to Tuesday, but overall the general consensus here for snowfall with the Clipper system that's moving through Saturday into Sunday is that 1 to 3 zone from really I-96 and points south, with upwards of a trace possible up there towards Mount Pleasant and the Tri-Cities region into the Thumb. So keep that in mind. Again, we'll have more updates tomorrow on the page. It's going to be a busy weekend for us here at Michigan Storm Chasers. We'll have a lot of forecast graphics being posted tomorrow. And then, of course, we'll likely have maybe a live stream or two of some of maybe our chasers out in the field going to check out some of the snowfall totals. So stay tuned for that here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Make sure you followed and subscribed.
Yeah, we'll mention the lake effect event will be more localized, but likely more significant in nature for those localized areas, which is, I believe most of our chasers are targeting that lake effect down in the southwest corner of Michigan. So that's what we'll be covering more so throughout the weekend and early next week. But of course, if you're new to our page, we usually will post major traffic updates to the page. If we have major accidents that back up traffic, we'll post those. And hopefully we'll have a few traffic cameras coming here in the next couple of weeks along 94, and also with today's 131 edition. We'll have some of our own eyes in the sky, as well as MDOT cameras to kind of monitor and keep you guys posted and updated. And like Joel mentioned a few minutes ago, we have that group as well for you guys to ask and share your road reports in your localized areas. You can head over to Facebook and search the group up. It's called Michigan Traffic and Accident Reports.
Over there on Facebook. As always, all of our live streams, so if we do a winter weather, I almost said severe weather because I'm so used to saying that, but we won't hopefully have any severe weather anytime soon. But winter weather briefings, winter weather coverage will always be found on 4 different platforms. So some of you guys are watching right now on all of them. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Twitch TV. Our username on all those platforms is MI Storm Chasers, or you can just type in Michigan Storm Chasers, and we are live on all. Especially as we get into the winter season, we understand you may have friends and family members that are not able to see our content on certain platforms. They may not have an account. And so that is where it's important to realize that we are on multiple accounts. So the good news is if you wanted to watch a stream, for example, you don't technically need an account to watch on, say, YouTube. You can just type in youtube.com, search Michigan Storm Chasers, and you can watch without an account, versus if you had Facebook, you would have to have an account to view our stream. So keep that in mind. If you know anyone that isn't on Facebook, you can always tell them to come watch on YouTube, or check out our other social media accounts where we post our graphics, such as X and Instagram. So a lot of different options for you guys to follow us on.
Any other questions before we got hop out of here, guys? Been live for about 40 minutes or so. Now is the time to speak up or ask your questions here. You know, I'm going to say this with the severe comment. It's not uncommon to get severe weather in November. Well, it is uncommon, but it's not unheard of, is what I meant to say. In fact, our last high risk came in November back in 2013. So we do get these late season systems that can give us chances, but luckily this year I would say that chance is quite low. Not impossible, but quite low.
Yeah. Our most recent winter severe that we covered here at Michigan Storm Chasers was probably that Grand Blanc tornado that I can recall. You could consider March 30th, I guess. That's close enough, but tornadoes in February are pretty rare in the state of Michigan. We happened to get that in 2024.
If I recall correctly, I believe we had one prior to that night. I could be wrong on that, but I know the number was quite low. John has a good question. What is needed to see more snow along the lakeshore? John, that's more, it has to do with lake water temperatures quite a bit and also wind direction. If the lake waters are too warm and immediate lakeshore areas will be also too warm to accumulate snow. And also if the winds are more north to south oriented for West Michigan, especially, that will also keep things confined to the lakeshore. But then again, goes back to how those lake waters are doing in immediate lakeshore areas. Now, if we have, just for example, say we have colder lakeshore areas, but we have a westerly wind, those lake effect bands will get pushed further inland as well, kind of leaving the lakeshore areas without much in the way of any snow. So that's kind of why we see the immediate lakeshore areas sometimes miss out on lake effect events, because it has to do a lot with wind direction, wind speed, but also lake temperatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I actually made an educational piece over on our Facebook page that is actually pinned there at the top of just the many different factors that go into getting X amount of lake effect snow at your backyard, for example, versus maybe your neighbors down the street. And those 9 factors are lake water temperature, your air temperature, your wind speed, your wind direction. Later in the winter, it'll become percentage of ice cover that's on the lakes. That means less available water to pull from. Your relative humidity, so if obviously it's really dry out, you're not really going to get that lake effect to form. Your difference in the temperature between the water and the air, of course. Another factor called fetch, so the length of lake available for lake effects bands to kind of train and pull up more moisture. And then, of course, in some cases, especially in the Upper Peninsula where it's pretty hilly, you have the changes in elevation. So 9 different factors, and all those different factors, whether they're static or not, all go into whether or not your location or maybe a mile down the street will get maybe 3 to 6 inches of lake effect snow. So it's the hardest phenomenon to forecast in the United States, and here in Michigan, we are blessed with the ability to see it all from 3 of our Great Lakes. I guess you could say 4 in the event we do have a east wind off of Lake Erie, but it's pretty hard to get that unless you have a strong low pressure system and we're on the north side of it. So Lake Huron, Lake Michigan, Lake Superior, biggest drivers in lake effect snow here in the U.S. And of course, if you're over in upstate New York, you have Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, that put down buckets of snow there.
Speaking of buckets of snow, the snow is starting to pick back up on the Berglund cam.
Nice.
You're watching this all night.
Very mesmerizing. Also, my face is really blurry.
That happens.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Yeah, Danielle, they'll play a factor with this event, but they're going to cool off pretty quickly. Ground temperatures will cool off quite rapidly as we move through the weekend. So it's going to be easier for the snow to stick, especially because it's happening at night as well when the temperature is the lowest. But also, snowfall rates may be heavy enough to overcome the melting rate in some areas. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. The ground is warm, yes, but it is expected to be at least cool off enough that we could see some brief accumulation upwards of a few inches, but it should melt pretty quickly. By quickly, I mean over the course of about a day or so. Are winter weather advisories possible? They are, but we have to have more confidence in there being impacts. If this was like a 3 to 6 event, that'd be more likely to get an advisory. But a 1 to 3 event, they might do it, but I'm going to say they probably won't.
It's almost not fair because we know even with the first event coming up, 1 to 3 inches is still going to make a huge difference. People are not used to it.
Yeah,
People maybe have moved to Michigan for the first time, not ready to drive in the snow. And so it's
yeah.
just a reality you have to deal with. But again, we have to get to those certain criteria, as Ryan mentioned there, for winter weather advisories to be issued, similar to the ones that are issued right now across the Upper Peninsula.
Do you think schools will close on Monday? For 98% of you guys, no. The 2% I'm talking about would probably be in Berrien, maybe Cass County, if we get these really potent lake effect bands. That may be a possibility. But being that we're still 2, 3 days out from that, it's hard to say. All right, last call for questions. Excuse me, questions, and we're going to hop out and start diving into the evening data here.
I guess while we maybe wait for a couple more questions, we can go ahead and go through our sponsors of the live stream. Again, we can't do what we do without our sponsors. So again, as we read through them here, feel free to write them down, take screenshots. Again, they are trusted partners. They are licensed and insured, so they are certified in their fields of work. So make sure to check them out and let them know that MSC has sent you. Starting off with, as always, StormGuard Roofing and Construction, that is based out of North Metro Detroit in Southeast Michigan. Lifestyle Exteriors, based out of Central Michigan, expanding from Traverse City to Lansing. Katz Roofing and Siding, based out of the Lansing, Powderville, Battle Creek area, that 69 corridor there in Eaton County. Also have Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding, based out of Sanilac, St. Clair counties. McKay Tree Specialist, based out of Southeast Michigan. And Kuiper Tree Care, based out of West Michigan. You have FBI Buildings for all your barndominium needs across the Lower Peninsula. On Top Roofing, based out of Livingston County, surrounding areas there for all of your roofing needs. Schneider Commercial Building Solutions, based out of Lansing, and Shield Public Adjusters, also based out of Lansing for all of your commercial roofing and insurance adjustment needs. Also on our list, we got Top Gun Roofing and Exteriors, based out of West Michigan. A-Class Construction and Restoration, based out of Mason County. They cover portions of Upper West Michigan. Rainbow Restoration for all your restoration needs around the Kent County area. Rapid Radios for all of your LTE wireless radio needs is also our #1 sponsor here at MSC for all Chaser communications. You have Guardian Technologies for all of your security camera needs and our sponsor of our weather camera network, including the view you see right now from Gogebic, Michigan, of the snow falling there. So feel free to contact them there for all of your security camera needs. Also have Apex Restoration, based out of Grand Blanc. They cover the thumb. American Arbor, based out of Southwest Michigan. Ronald McDonald House of Detroit. You can donate to their charity today to help families in need. And we have recently added Clear Plow Snow Pushers back to our list here, just a couple days ago, in fact. They are our premier sponsor of the day. You can look up Clear Plow Snow Pushers online. They specialize in snow pushers for your driveways and businesses. So, again, give them a visit. Their information can be found on our Facebook page on our posts, such as our snowfall graphic that we shared this afternoon.
And also just want to say a special thank you to all 72, 75. I don't know how many sponsors we have for the cameras, dude.
I don't know.
We have too many to count. But every single camera you see on your screen, and then some that don't fit on this screen. Thank you to those guys as well. I couldn't just sit here and list all of them. There's way too many, but they're coming in clutch for us here at MSC. So feel free to hop over to our Michigan Weather Network YouTube account and give those guys a follow. As you can see, their streams and their business information linked in the description. But yes, they also deserve recognition for our operational help here at MSC as well.
Yeah, so again, we do have 2 YouTube channels, as Ryan mentioned there. Our main one is MI Storm Chasers, Michigan Storm Chasers, and then Michigan Weather Network is our YouTube channel dedicated for all of those weather cameras that are live 24/7. It's not all of them. Some businesses choose not to have them 24/7, but for some of them across the state, we do have them live 24/7 that you guys can view at any time. So go ahead and check us out over there on YouTube, Michigan Weather Network. Got a $5 super chat over here from Julie, one of our mods, saying, will Eaton Rapids be in a thunder snow risk? With a please and a praying emoji. At the current time, the instability for this system is rather weak unless you are confined to the shoreline. So if you are in need of thunder snow, I know it's kind of a rare niche request, but you can go ahead and check out the lakeshore areas instead of Eaton Rapids, unfortunately for you, Julie. But again, there could be lake effect thunder snow over on Lake Michigan this next couple of days. So keep that in mind, but not in the Eaton Rapids area.
Final note before we hop out, the aurora data is looking a little better over the past couple of minutes. We are flipping the north-south field down to the south. The only thing we got to keep an eye on is cloud cover. Looks like the central and northern half of the state is in cloud cover, and then parts of the UP does have clear skies up in like the Dickinson County. They have clear skies there. But for the most part, looks like northern, lower, and central Michigan has a cloud deck we're dealing with there. So we'll watch it tonight. We'll post updates if anything happens. Again, we're expecting numerous solar storms to arrive over the next 48 to 72 hours. Could be tonight. It also could be tomorrow night. But tonight is definitely the best viewing potential over the next couple of days. So fingers are crossed that we see something tonight. That is all I have.
Sweet. We also did hit a milestone, Ryan. Another 5K milestone.
Yes, 65K on YouTube. That means Joel gets to dance, but not tonight.
Gonna hold it off?
Gonna hold off probably until our winter live stream on either Sunday or Monday. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Sounds good. Means you guys have
By
to
the time we
tune
get
back
there, we might have 2 dances by the time we get to Tuesday.
in. Janelle asks why not tonight.
Because we have meetings and lots of work to do.
Absolutely. Got some traffic maps to make.
Yep. Gotta grind on some stuff, get it done, get it out to you guys. Make sure you guys are up to date with all the latest. So we'll tentatively plan for Joel's dance to occur sometime on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday on a live stream with some snow. So if you're new here, we like to have some fun with our streams that don't need a serious tone to them. So if we're in severe coverage, we're not going to stop and
dance,
goof off. But yeah, but if there's a slow period, we're going to have some fun with you guys. But yeah, expect that sometime Sunday night, Monday, or Tuesday. Yeah, or early next week. But okay, that's all we got, guys. Appreciate you tuning in, and I believe Joel's going to roll the outro now.
Yeah. Again, if you guys missed it, if you're just tuning in, the first 20 minutes of the stream, first 25 minutes of the stream, really, we're dedicated to going over all the details. Once we wrap up the stream here, feel free to rewind back and watch it from the beginning. Again, if you don't have a way to rewind back, just wait until the stream ends or hop over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It's free to do. and feel free to click into this briefing once it is done. So again, it's there for you guys. As always, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms for continuous media updates and post updates. Again, we can't post everything on YouTube, so make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, X, you name it, all the platforms that really have places that we can post text, post images, traffic updates, you name it. We are also over on Threads as well, so feel free to follow us there. Other than that, we'll holler at you later. We'll go ahead and get some work done tonight. Again, I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzmo alongside President of Operations Ryan down there below me. We are the Michigan Storm Chasers, hoping that you have a great night, and we'll catch you soon for maybe another briefing or another winter weather / severe weather live stream. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you soon.